I've heard it said that women about the age of 35 who are single, there's something wrong with them. Yo, friends and family, welcome back to the worst relationship advice ever. You definitely should not listen because you don't know it's bare rubbish. Me at chat. We're here for season 2. Thank you so much for going through the episodes of season 1 where I spoke about the 5 things that I believe are necessary for the building of a happy and healthy relationship. Just to recap that, I had said unwavering commitment, unconditional love, friendship, intimacy, and Jesus Christ. Not necessarily in that order, but yeah, those are the 5. I know since the break, I've become more aware of probably another one that I'd probably tack on to the 5. Another one that I'd probably want to say is also important, and that's attraction. But, attraction missed the boat. I won't be going deep into any explanation of that. For this season that we're going forward on, I'll be looking at singleness and dating. Yeah, singleness and dating. And so for this episode of the podcast, we'll be talking about what it looks like and what it means to be successfully single. How to be successfully single. Yeah. We are all born single, right? Born into this world single. I don't know if you were born with your partner. I don't know if there's any couple out there who they were born on the same day as their partner in the same hospital to different parents, and then they separated and then somehow found each other back later on in life and got married and everything and started their own family and everything. I'm not sure if that has happened. More than likely it has. There's a strong possibility it has. I mean, there's, as Salmon says in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. And as coincidental as that seems, coincidences do happen, So, yeah, all of us pretty much born single, but we're born into a societal culture that has a hyper focus on marriage and romantic relationships. Yeah. And so as a result of that, we grow up with the constant desire for companionship, for relationship. And so as a result of that, we oftentimes feel lonely. We tend to base our sense of self-worth and self-esteem on whether or not somebody has chosen us. And when we look around and see our friends and loved ones in relationships, getting engaged, getting married, doing all these wonderful things, having babies, 1, 2, 3, and the rest of us in the same age group, we can feel a bit left out. We can feel a bit forgotten. And so, as a result, there's not usually a positive connotation placed on singleness. I've heard many, innuendos about people above the age of 35 who are single. I've heard it said that women about the age of 35 who are single, there's something wrong with them. And I just want to debunk that and say that's not true. There are more single people out there than there are married people. Yeah. I can't be that there's something wrong with all of us why we're single. Maybe, just maybe, we have not been successfully single. We have not been intentionally single because we're so bombarded by the music and by the movies and by social media. We're bombarded by the idea of having a happy and healthy relationship. But we can become so focused on wanting that for ourselves and pursuing that for ourselves that we neglect ourselves. Yeah. And so for these next 2 episodes, I want to get into what it means to be successfully single. But first, let me share a bit of my story and my journey, as I want to be vulnerable with you and just drive home the point that I'm no professional. I'm no guru. I really don't know what I'm talking about, Zine. I have no degree in counseling psychology. My longest relationship has been my marriage, and that relationship lasted 3 years, including the marriage. So I wouldn't say that I am the best person to listen to, but I've learned some lessons. I've gained some insight. I've done some reflecting. I'm just sharing with you my opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to leave a comment down below so that we can have a discussion. If you agree, feel free to leave a comment so I can feel encouraged and I can feel your energy. Yeah? So, have I ever been successfully single? Probably the closest I've ever come to that was when I was at UWI. Yeah, the University of the West Indies, for those who don't know that abbreviation. I went to UWI between 2010 and 2015. I did 4.5 years, and I was single for a majority of that time. I was in a romantic relationship for about 11 months during my very first year of UWI, but then after that, that relationship had ended mutually. Me and the young lady came to a mutual agreement that our relationship we were a distraction to each other, We were there to study, to get good grades and to, get our degrees. But we were very enamored with each other. I know that I look back at it, I'm like, boy, we could have stuck it out. We could have had something, wonderful, but I initiated the ending of the relationship on the basis that, I wanted to focus more on studying. But hey, for the rest of my time during university, I was single. Now, was it intentional? Not so much. It's not that I wasn't open to dating during my UWI years, but I just never made that connection with anybody. It was either I liked somebody who didn't like me back, which is very annoying, or it was somebody liking me without me liking them back, which is even more annoying, And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And so during my university years, it was Jesus and schoolwork and sports. Yeah, that's what it was. And of course, I made friendships along the way. But here's the thing, I didn't feel like depressed or lonely. I didn't feel as if I needed to be in a relationship to self-actualize and to feel as if I am worthy, as if I am valuable. And so even though there was no committed, exclusive relationship during my college years, and I was not sexually involved with anybody, I felt okay. Yeah. And so I would say those years was the closest I got to being successfully single. Yeah. And so I will be explaining further what I mean by successfully single. But just to give you an idea of what that looked like for me back then, it was a lot of focusing on the Lord, being involved with UCCF and just being on fire for the Lord, evangelizing, reading my Bible, doing all these wonderful things with my friends. I had really cool friends in university who were supportive and encouraging and loving. And so even though I wasn't expressing that romantic aspect of myself, I didn't feel deficient. And that's so important. That's so important. And if you don't have that in your life right now, trust me, you need to cultivate that. Because what tends to happen to us, especially those of us who are really desiring relationship, we're very anxious to be in relationship, to get married, to start our families. When we become hyper-focused on that, we can tend to settle. We can tend to seek to choose somebody who is interested in us and just try to make it work with them, even though they're not really the right fit, you know? And so what the real aim of intentional singleness is to become so in touch with yourself, so accepting of yourself, so aware of your own standards and your own boundaries that those things inform how you choose your partner. Because I tell you this, you can only be married to one person. It's only one wife or one husband. And you best make that decision wisely. But it's very difficult to make that decision wisely when you're not in touch with who you are. Yeah, you have to love and accept yourself through and through, because the other person will only love and accept you to the extent that you love and accept yourself. As a single person, you can tend to feel as if you are the forgotten stepchild, you know, the child that was born out of wedlock to the wife of the no family that exists, and you can kind of feel like an outcast. As a single person, you really need to embrace who you are and love who you are, and whomever is going to come into your life has to be able to do the same. Because I tell you, we have this tendency to bend over backwards and put in all sorts of effort and energy into building a relationship with somebody, especially if we want them. And then if they don't want us in the same way, we can sell ourselves short. But because we've been single and we've been having difficulty forming a relationship with somebody, we can compromise a lot on what is very important to us. That's not good, especially if you start a marriage on that basis. Yeah, I'm not saying that, it can't work. I'm not saying that you can't grow from that, but it's gonna be a rocky ride. It's gonna be a rocky ride. So yeah, being successfully single, that's all about embracing you, embracing your standards, embracing your boundaries, embracing what is most important for the sustenance of you. Embracing your purpose. Where are you going? What are the things that you want to do? What do you feel most passionate about? What are your gifts? What are your talents? And a person who is coming into your life has got to accept all of that. You shouldn't have to change or adjust anything that is naturally you to facilitate the person who is really your person. And you can only have one your person, So if you want to marry well, if you want to be in a long-term relationship with somebody who you don't want to feel like you have to put on a facade, you have to act, you have to, pretty up yourself all the time for, but you want to be authentic. You want to be loved, good, bad, and ugly, then you have to be able to first accept yourself. Set your own standards and set your own pace. And then know whomever is going to come alongside you has to be able to just come alongside you. Those are the best relationships, man. I'm not saying that relationships don't take compromise and don't take adjusting, to facilitate the other person. But really and truly, where there is too many differences, there is going to be a lot of conflict. A lot of conflict to resolve. A lot of offense to get over. And that can be exhausting. And we all want our relationships to be a place of peace and zen and rest. When we have all these other things to deal with out in the world, we want our relationship to be that place we come for peace. Yeah? And so when it comes on to me and whether or not I have been successfully single, yeah, my college years was probably when it was closest to that as possible. Since college, coming into the working world, yeah, I have been in about 5 relationships of a romantic nature since starting to work in 2015 up to now. And I've learned from each of them. And what has been driven home to me more now than ever before is the importance of being intentionally single. I know it sounds counterintuitive, especially if most of us want to be married and have children, have a family. To be intentionally single, to actually see somebody who you like and they possibly like you too, and decide that no, not now. I want to focus on me, myself, and I, and the Lord, and my purpose in life, and in really formulating my boundaries and standards. Like, doing that is very powerful. It shows a certain level of mental fortitude. And that's important. Because I tell you, man, when you're so hyper-focused on being in relationship, you can make some choices that are not necessarily the best. Yeah? And so what being successfully single is all about is getting so in touch with who you are and what your purpose is and the path that you're taking, so much so that you know exactly who you need to be in relationship with and can make that decision well. Yeah? So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of The Worst Relationship Advice Ever. This is part 1 of how to be successfully single. In part 2, I'll be going deeper into what that actually looks like. Yeah? Enough love and respect. See you next time.